Okay, we'll do a bit of a talk through on the notes here. Again, just in case maybe you missed something when we talked about it in the lecture. So I'll talk through it again. Again, calculating an informal confidence interval. So the idea is that when you have like a million people, you have a million people. Of those million people, we maybe look at like 50. Okay? If we look at something like just 50 people out of 1 million, we can find this mean, the mean, like the middle value of that 50, like let's say it's like 25 kgs. We were looking at some kind of, I don't know, weight of your arm or something like that. So that's heavy arm. I don't know. Anyways, and you get 25 kgs just for that group of 50. But if we're trying to make an assumption about the big group of 1 million, we know that, well, 25 might not be right, but if I did a reasonable job, 25 is probably close. So maybe I have to, 25, give or take 10. 10 to there, so 35 and minus 10, give or take 10, 15. So this is like a confidence interval. I'm saying that this is the value I got, but I'm saying that, I might have like what's called a margin of error of like 10, so plus or minus 10. So I think the real median of my actual 1 million people, this is my sample, but for the actual million people, it's probably somewhere between these two numbers. So that's the idea, that we try to say, give a range where we think it is in the actual population and like the millions of people, not just, our little group of 50 or even 20. Okay. So again, that's what these notes are saying. We don't know. It's not exact the same. It might be. Who knows? But it's not the exact same. Now, to calculate a margin of error for our confidence interval, this is the equation. So it's plus or minus, right? Your give and take. 1.5, always 1.5, times the IQR, which is your interquartile range, that size of the box. When you have your box and your box and whisker, from here to here, whatever that number is, that's the interquartile range. And then you divide by the square root of how many people are in the survey. So if I have 100 people, it's a square root of 100. If I have 50 people, square root of 50. You can see with this that the more people we get, the smaller the overall number of our error will be, right? If I have 100 people, square root of 100 is 10, so I'll be dividing this amount by 10. If I have 10,000 people, the square root of 10,000 is 100, so I'll be dividing this number by 100. So, my confidence interval or my error will be getting smaller and smaller and smaller, because the more people I get, the more I can assume that, all right, this is getting closer and closer to the real population. Okay, so that's the formula that we use. Informal confidence interval, again, that's when you do your give and take, and then what's the range in which you think the actual median will be. All right. Now, the technical interpretation of a confidence interval, an informal confidence interval, is that it involves 90%. Now, some people write that you're 90% confident that the interval is between here and here, which is sort of correct, but also sort of wrong. The technical definition of that is that if you did 100 of these kinds of surveys of people, like samples, if you did 100 of them, 90 of them would have a median that was between the range that we're going to calculate, between your interconfidence interval. Okay, so 90%. When we sum this up at the end, we always say that you can be pretty sure that the true median of the population is between the parameters that we're talking about. So 90% is kind of sure. All right, so looking at a couple of examples, I looked at this one. I'm just going to check my recording time. And all right, about halfway through. So looking at it, again, kind of include that. So first of all, you get the median, and we're going to get this from NZ Grapher. It'll look a little bit different on NZ Grapher, but that's okay. So the median is 170. The UQ, which is that's that one, and that's your LQ. So UQ minus LQ, 177.8 minus the LQ, 161.2, right? That's these two numbers here, right? 161 and 177. That gives me 16.6. So that's my IQR. So down here, when I go 1.5 times, it'd be 16.6. The number of people is 30, and I want the square root of that. The square root of 30 equals 5.477. Okay, and then I insert that. Divided by 5.477. Okay. When I put this all together, 1.5 times 16.6 divided by 5.477, I get 4.55. So that's my margin of error. So even when I look at this, this is my median that I have. Okay, if I go 4.5 this way, so that's 174.5, 0.55. And if I go 4.5 back, this is going to be my informal confidence interval. Okay, so we do that calculation. So the median plus or minus the error, it's a minus the error, okay, equals 170 plus or minus 4.55. So on the plus end, 170 plus 4.55 is 174.55. If I go to the minus end, 170 minus this number, I get 165.45, right? That's my minus, that's my plus. So that's my confidence interval. That's where I think that it's going to be. So I'm pretty confident that the true median, I think this was a height one, the true median of the population height is between 165.45 centimeters and 174.55 centimeters. Actually, I should always include the units. Centimeter. Okay, so that's just a quick example. All right. Check my time again. Do I got time? Oh, yeah, we got lots of time. All right. So we'll do it one more time. So this was a weight survey done with 34 people. Okay. So again, start off, what's the median? Because that's that middle number, right? We're going to be, our confidence interval will look something like this. Your median and then plus or minus something. So our median is 65.5. UQ 79.5, right? This minus 56.25. N is 34 people. Oh, that total was basically 6. 2, 3, basically is 2, 3, 2, 5. 34, so we got to find the square root of 34, and that's 5.83. Okay, we insert those into our formula. So 1.5, again, always 1.5, times the IQR, 23.25, divided by our square root number, 5.83. And this equals, again, it's always plus minus, because we give or take. So this equals basically 6.0. So when I look at my informal confidence interval, I take my median, 65.5, right? 65.5, right? That's my median. Plus or minus 6.0, which is my error, right? My margin of error. And I get, on the plus side, we'll minus here. If I minus 6 from there, I get 59.5. If I take that and add 6,